Manager, we just send the pledge in.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father God, you are so good, Lord. I just want to praise you this evening for the good favor that you continue to show our community time and again, Lord. I want to thank you for the leaders and our neighbors who are steadfastly praying our community forward, God. I pray that your Holy Spirit be in the room this evening and you help us make wise decisions on behalf of our community. Thank you for the privilege that it is to serve, Lord. It's in your Son Jesus' perfect name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, item C, approval of tonight's agenda. I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Do I have a second?
A second.
Krista seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Very good. Welcome, Naomi. Motion carries 5-0. Let the record reflect that Naomi is on the phone this evening, so and the question who that voice is. So we'll move along here to item D, citizen comments. 3 minutes to address the council. We'll listen and we'll go ahead and open citizen comments.
Writing down my name doesn't have the time.
Probably not. Unless your name's really long. And it's not.
Okay. So I'm very concerned too, after COVID, when citizens started having chickens, and then some citizens started having ducks. But then because of complaints of neighbors of the duck noise, they disallowed ducks. And now I heard that some people want to have ducks again. But I don't think that would be a good idea because ducks do not make good neighbors. Frequent quacking, especially at dawn and dusk, can disturb adjacent homes. Odors and droppings create unpleasant smell and sanitation problems. They also attract pests and predators, food and waste, draw rats, raccoon, foxes, and stray dogs, increasing neighborhood nuisance and safety risk. Ducks also carry pathogens like salmonella and parasites that threaten people and pets. And if the ducks got loose, they could cause distraction in the road and with the drivers and collision risk for animals and vehicles. And also right now, the legal limit for chickens is 6. And I know some people would like to have more than 6 chickens, but citizens and residents should only be allowed 6 chickens each to prevent overcrowding and ensure proper care, as keeping too many can lead to health and hygiene issues. Additionally, limiting the number of chickens helps manage noise and odor concerns in urban developments. Allowing too many chickens can lead to overcrowding, which increases the risk of disease and stress among the birds. Each chicken produces approximately 2 pounds of manure each week. Limiting the number of chickens helps manage waste effectively and reduces the potential for unsanitary conditions. Chickens can be noisy. Limiting the number of chickens helps minimize disturbances to neighbors. A higher number of chickens lead to stronger odors from waste, which can be problematic in close urban settings. Urban backyards often have limited space. Restricting the number of chickens ensures that each bird has adequate room for a healthy living environment. A limit on the number of chickens also helps maintain good relations with neighbors by reducing potential complaints about noise and smell. Fewer chickens still provide educational benefits about food production and animal care without overwhelming the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else today? Anybody from the back row? Okay, since there's no other citizens come forward, we'll close citizen comments. We'll move on to item E, the ex parte conflict of interest declaration. Anyone have any conflicts this week based on communication? No. We're good. The answer is 5-0 on that. We're good. No appointments and recognitions. That brings us to the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
There is an item that will need a roll call in it.
We moved it out, but
Yeah, we took that out, Sarah.
We took it out.
Yeah, it's a student.
just because of that. Okay.
Thank you for being
Thank
watchful.
you. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, I make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Thank you. Amanda's made the motion.
I'll second.
Thanks. 40 seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda passes 5-0. Thank you. No unfinished business. That brings us down to new business. Microphone, drum roll. City Manager Craig Bissett at the plate.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, it's my pleasure to present to you the long-awaited contract award for the North Park project. With me is Matt Ham, the architect and leader for our design team, which also includes Bachman. So we also have Mr. Biggs, who represents Conco Construction, the firm that we are recommending to be awarded the bid this evening. So at the end of the presentation, I'll give each of them an opportunity to share a few words with council, and you're more than welcome to ask myself or either of them any questions. So on March 2nd, you might recall the governing body authorized advertising for bid the North Park project. If you remember, we had several items of major work there in the base bid. That included all the site work, the pavilion and rental space, playground and surfacing. It also included the dog park, 2 pickleball courts, landscape, parking, and utilities. There were some alternates. Sorry, I got this sentence a little janky here. The alternates included the pond restoration, a 3rd pickleball court, the trail around the pond, and a secondary parking lot, and an alternate to concrete. So I did get in a little bit of a rush today, so hopefully I don't have any other errors or omissions in this presentation. We successfully bid the project using the final construction drawings and specifications prepared by Schaefer, and our legal team took a fine-tooth comb to what you probably saw was hundreds of pages worth of contract documents, including the AIA owner contract agreement, the insurance and bond exhibits, the A201 general conditions, statutory bond requirements, the city's mandatory contractual provisions, and again, the full project specifications and drawings. So we had 3 bids: Conco Construction, Donlinger, and Key. Based on the attached bid tab, which you would have seen in your agenda packet, Conco submitted the low bid on both the base bid and the total, including all alternates. As mentioned previously, we are recommending that we accept Conco's bid, including the alternates, exclusive of the wood grain soffit upgrades. This approach delivers a full phase 1 vision now, rather than deferring components for later consideration. I mentioned what the alternates were. You guys have seen those time and again. You saw the bid tab as well, and probably realized that Conco's proposal came in materially lower than the other 2 bidders. The draft construction agreement identifies them as the contractor using a stipulated sum format, provides a contract time of 210 calendar days from the notice to proceed. Here is a look at the bid tab in a condensed form. You can see Conco here in this column. This yellow item down here is the total bid, including all alternates, and then you have Donlinger and of course Key Construction. I'll get into this in the next slide, but the large delta is really accounted for in this pond work. So we had, because of the significant delta between the low bid and the second low bid, we had a pretty intensive process of just verifying the bid for accuracy. We had in-person meeting with Conco and several phone conferences between the city, and our design team. We just wanted to be very sure that we could confirm their scope understanding, their pricing assumptions, and of course, particular attention paid to the pond portion of the project. And really the difference was they had a strategy on the pond utilizing the on-site soils, whereas the other firms were priced it as if they had to import all the soils. Those firms would have had the ability to utilize the on-site soils themselves, and taken the difference basically if they're all found suitable, and so Conco is basically taking the risk that if they have to import soils, those will be at their cost. There's a redundant element in the contract that accounts for that. Of course, we will have our on-site field services team that'll be out there with Conco, just kind of making sure that the city's well represented and that we're satisfied with the pond and the soils and the like. So we're super thankful that we're getting a phenomenal price, we think, on the project. You compare it to the engineer's estimate that you would have seen with the documents when we originally put this project out to bid. This is the kind of the financial breakdown. If you want to take a look at the budget matrix here, if you remember way back last year, we had an authorizing resolution of $5.9 million for construction and engineering. That excluded cap interest and cost of issuance. We had a planning estimate of about $4,086,000 and nearly $5 million for all the alternates. So, and that engineering estimate you saw was about $6.6 million. And then of course, since then we have executed the grant amendment and have the $1 million award from KDWP. Super exciting. Conco's bid with the alternates, again, $3.916 million. Very favorable when you compare it to what we estimated as the cost for the bids plus all alternates. Down to the budget matrix, here's Conco's contract. We're suggesting a construction contingency of about $300,000 on the outside the contract. If there are any change order requests that are in excess of my expenditure authority, we'll take those to council. If it's something that we're running into a timing issue, hopefully this doesn't happen. I think that I continue to hear it reiterated that this isn't a super complicated project, but if there was some kind of emergent issue, maybe we'd throw a special meeting together to get a change order in, but we don't anticipate that, and hopefully if we have any, they're owner initiated. So we'll have some contingency available. Design and construction administration costs, so all of our fees with Baughman and Schaefer and the other subs that were a part of putting the plans together, and the construction administration, $342,000. The playground equipment and safety surfacing contracts that were awarded to Playscapes and Forever Lawn, those are $882,000. We have a slew of by owner estimates. This is not exhaustive, but it makes up some of the larger by owner costs, about $150,000. Construction field services, this was not in your agenda packet. I got a price for this. This will come to you during the May 4th City Council meeting for construction, inspection, and observation during the duration of the project. About $205,884. So total project costs $5.79 million. When you net out the KDWP grant, we're at $4.79 million of the total project budget of $5.9. So obviously we're very pleased that we should be able to deliver this project over $1 million under budget when we consider the funds that have been raised, and more news to come on that in the near future that will continue to better that number, and we'll be excited to share that with you later this week. So, like I said, we had a couple meetings, including our attorneys as well, just kind of working through contracts. So a lot of due diligence has gone into this project process. Took a little extra time to get to this point of awarding the bid in the contract. Very thankful for Conco's time and effort in putting together a competitive bid and being willing to answer all the pointed questions that came from us and our design team. I had a chance to talk with my colleague in a peer community where they just finished a very similar project. That reference checked out, had good things to say about the firm as well as the individual who led their project that will also lead ours. That was unsolicited positive feedback that I received. Another community that they were the GC on, I wasn't able to connect with the project manager, but I have been to the park. It just opened last year, and it's a beautiful park. And so it seems to me that they did a good job on that one too. So that also checks out. With that, we have a recommendation to you that you would approve the contract with Conco attached to today and authorize the expenditure authority for their base bid plus alternates, which is the 3.9 million plus the contingency amount of 7.5%. So at this time, I'd be glad to open the floor to the council for any questions or comments that I'd like to direct to myself or Matt or Mr. Biggs with Conco.
I just want to say thank you for being innovative and for finding a way to kind of make this park cheaper. We know this is a pretty big expense, but we're really excited to have this for the community. And thank you, Craig, for just making sure there's some verbiage to kind of cover that and that we're all on the same page and for taking the extra time to kind of go through this. So really excited to kind of see this come to life.
Matt, you got a big smile on your face. You guys have any comments?
Sure, I'll say a couple of words. Yeah, thanks so much for having us here tonight. And I just say congratulations are in order to the city and the whole community for persevering through the design process and the bidding process and having the success right at your doorstep. I would just say that I really appreciate the team that I worked with from the city. We had a lot of meetings, made a lot of decisions, as you always do with these projects. And I was really impressed and had a really good experience. And I don't doubt that the construction will be any different. I'm looking forward to working with Conco and seeing their work up close and personal. We're going to be on site with the contractor, with the city, and getting our feet dirty. Not our feet, our boots dirty. But hopefully not our feet dirty. It's going to be really muddy. And really excited about it. So thank you very much for trusting us with this project. Any questions that you have?
We're just, I think, all really looking forward to the next 210 days. Maybe 205.
There you go.
Sooner.
No pressure though.
No pressure. I was going to say that if you need a little extra clay, I've got a pile in my backyard right now. You can come scrape that off, and I won't charge anything to come get it.
We'll take it.
All right. Well, no questions?
No questions. I guess I'll just say we're really excited for this. I know we just recently broke ground on Public Works facility, which is great for the city and for our employees, but this is really something great for all of our citizens, and we're really looking forward to having this new park in our community to be able to enjoy.
And it's something that started, I think, in 2014, so this has been a long journey to get to this point. So I think it's kind of fun to be able to be the group that pulls the trigger. So I will make a motion to authorize the contract with Conco attached to Exhibit A and authorize the expenditure authority not to exceed $3,916,600 plus a contingency of 7.5%.
I'll second.
40 seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Motion passed 5-0. All right. Looking forward to it, gentlemen. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll try to stay out of the way. Okay, moving on. Item 2.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, this is item I2. This is road name change for the Gata Galleria. So quick background, Dwayne Dugan has submitted an application to change the name of the road that runs through the Gata Galleria around the Walmart. It's currently being built right now by Pearson. That road is currently platted and named Seasons 2nd and 6th Street. Mr. Dugan has asked that it be renamed to Galleria Drive and Gateway Street. This went before the Planning Commission and they approved it, and now it's coming before City Council for final consideration with an ordinance to follow. So this is just consideration for changing the name of the street that runs behind Walmart, and I highlighted it over here so you can see it. But this is the road in question. This would be switched to Gateway, and this would be Galleria Drive, so it would be contiguous.
And Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but Gateway would be the name of the street all the way to 183rd?
No, so this would just be from here to here, this section right here. This area from here to here is actually a private drive, a long private road, so it's not owned by the public, which, you know, we're stewards of public land. So this area is all private here. This is public road here, and this is a public road here. So that's why he has to petition us for that if he wanted to. There's no name on here.
There's no name.
That's a no-name road, and it's private. So that's why he's petitioning us. I did inform, the only other property owner, which was Overland Property Group, that the name was being changing, and they really said nothing in objection to that. So they're the only other property owners that are abutting those roads.
Any comments, questions?
It is an ordinance, so I need you guys to
Do the two-step dance.
do the two-step.
I have recommend that we waive the reading of the ordinance.
Second.
Chris has made a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance, and in seconds, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Next step.
I move that we approve the street name change for the Goddard Galleria.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Durr,
Yes.
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard.
Yes.
Ordinance 1039.
10:39.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item I-3.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, this is the US 54 and Main Street Commercial Building call for a public hearing to consider issuing industrial revenue bonds. So, as you may recall, staff have been actively working to respond to repeated feedback from both the community and the governing body to aggressively recruit additional restaurant and retail development here within our fine community. The governing body has provided policy direction to staff promote incentives such as IRBs to attract additional restaurant development primarily as well as retail. Paradise Corner LLC proposes to develop a property at US 54 and Main Street into a 20,000 square foot commercial strip center intended to support additional restaurant and retail activity here in Goddard. During the May 4th council meeting, assuming you guys approve this tonight, the governing body will consider approving a development agreement that requires the developer to deliver a fast casual, or fine dining restaurant operating within the project space to receive the economic development incentives, to include the IRBs. The purpose of this agenda item is simply to call for the required public hearing necessary to issue the IRBs. Also during the May 4th council meeting, the governing body will consider approving the intent resolution for the IRBs after the scheduled hearing. State law requires the completion of a cost benefit analysis prior to issuing of the IRBs. The attached in your packet, Wichita State Center for Economic Development and Business Research Center provided the cost benefit analysis supporting the project's fiscal case. The analysis shows City of Goddard benefit cost ratio of 1.82 over 20 years, meaning projected public benefits exceed public costs over those periods. Anything over 1.0 is a net benefit to the community. 1.82 is a fantastic ratio. So, small publication fee at this point is all, and then legally it's been approved is to form. Our bond counsel, Kevin Cowan with Gilmore and Bell, has put together the bond documents. This is kind of the first step, and we anticipate some fun announcements associated with this one over the next few weeks. And hopefully this will just be the start of the procedure that comes with all that. Recommendation is that you move the call for the public hearing.
Pretty straightforward. Any questions? Entertain a motion.
I make a motion, the city council move to call for and provide notice of a public hearing to be held on May 4th, 2026 to consider the advisability of issuing industrial revenue bonds for the US 54 Main Street Strip Center project.
Chris has made the motion. Do we have a second?
Second. Good to know.
We'll let Naomi second that since she's calling in so from far away. So. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir. Jason, good day, sir.
So I'm here to seek approval for the acceptance of low bid for the 2026 roadway projects. On April 9th of this year, the Certified Engineering Design in the City of Goddard, our representatives held the bid opening for the 2026 street maintenance project. This is a comprehensive bid that's being held within the 505 street improvements as well as street maintenance. APAC was a low bid at $972,581.63. As you can tell, we had 3 bids. The streets that we are going to be doing is the Spruce from Linear Park 3rd, which is a full depth reconstruction. Pine, the same, it's the Linear Park to the school with a full depth reconstruction. Oak, Linear Park to 3rd with full depth reconstruction. 4th, Main to Oak with a crack seal, with a surface ceiling, and a full depth reconstruction at the approaches. And then our street maintenance program will be the approaches going off of Kellogg at Casado, Oak, and Walnut. And we're going to be doing full depth repairs there, and we've been in contact with KDOT to potentially do their part of the approach as well. We're still waiting back from word from them on if they're going to be accepting that cost share or not. Then we're also doing 199th Maplewood Kellogg crack seal with a surface sealer, and 183rd from Maplewood Prairie Sunset Trail with a crack seal with surface sealer, and that will be a little more extensive on that south of Kellogg. Those cracks will be a 24-inch repair where they'll actually mill out those cracks and do a full depth repair of those cracks to alleviate some of the destruction that's happening to those. This is a map that's showing kind of where those areas are that we'll be working. So at this time, the funding for the project will be made possible through the 5 and 5 program, and also the funds set aside in the street maintenance line item with a total budget funding of $1.2 million. And there may be some additional work that we're looking at as well with some leftover funds out of this on 199. So at this point, we recommend that we move to authorize awarding the bid to APAC for the 2026 road projects. Is there any questions?
I do have a question. I'm going to put you on the spot. If you don't have the answer, that's fine. But who did the full depth reconstruction in the last year on the streets there?
That was Pearson.
Pearson? Okay.
Any other questions? If not,
Nothing.
all right. I'll move, make a recommendation, we vote to move to authorize the awarding of bid to APAC for the 2026 road project. Second.
I second.
Krista seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Year 2 of year 5 of the projects.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sure it's not year 3.
No, year 1 didn't count.
That was borrowed
Year
money.
0.
That was zero. That was borrowed money. That wasn't part of it.
Good evening, Brian Patrick, City Attorney, here to discuss a couple of code enforcement matters. If you recall, we revised the process for handling of code enforcement to get you all out of the process as much as possible. We've been able to accomplish that to a significant degree. There are still some remaining elements that are required by statute for you all to be involved, and this is one of those occasions. So, there we go. All right. You're being asked to consider a proposed resolution to order abatement of nuisance conditions at 611 North Spruce Street and also 2009 North Clearstone Street. Basically, our friends at ProCode Compliance, they are your boots on the ground in terms of handling day-to-day code enforcement. They have made numerous attempts to resolve this informally, get the property owners voluntary compliance. That has proven to be unsuccessful. And so as a result, ProCode has issued formal orders of abatement to the property owners, giving them formal notice that they need to remedy the situation. We're dealing with debris, junk motor vehicles on the property of most of these residences. And the property owners did not comply. They had opportunities with the notices to request hearing, meetings to discuss the matter, silence. So, as a result, we are here asking you for a resolution that would authorize the city to go in and abate the nuisance on its own, basically clean up the property, and then also assess the expense of that abatement to the property so that the city gets reimbursed eventually through the property tax rolls. There are no financial considerations besides just the cost of cleaning it up. Legal considerations, the resolution and agreement have been reviewed by my office. So it's recommended that the city adopt the resolution ordering the abatement of certain nuisance conditions at 611 North Spruce Street and 2009 North Clearstone, and also authorizing the city to proceed with abatement and assessment of those costs if the property owners, once again, do not comply. Any questions? Any discussion? It's exciting stuff.
Pretty straightforward.
Thanks, so.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion to adopt the resolution ordering the abatement of certain nuisance conditions at 611 North Spruce Street and 2009 North Clearstone Street, Goddard, Kansas, 67052.
Thank you. Nancy made the motion. I will second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Item 6.
So we're looking to come to council tonight for an amendment to a contract with for engineering services with certified design with the water line looping improvements. Essentially, since we're making an amendment to the contract, we just need to come to the council to seek approval for that. So we're looking to amend that contract to CE for inspection services. As I said, it's an amendment for the on-site inspection services for the water looping project through a separate contract. This will remain under the 505 street program. Is there any questions?
We're all good on that?
Yep.
I just make one comment. It won't be in the 505 street program. It'll be in the water loop. That must have not got cut and pasted over.
Yeah.
Financially, it'll be out of the TIP note funding the water looping project.
Apologize.
That's it.
No problem.
I recommend, or make a motion to authorize the mayor to execute the first amendment to the contract for engineering services between the city of Goddard and Certified Engineering Design, PA.
Chris has made the motion.
I'll second.
Corey seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honor Mayor and City Council, this is I-7, height modification for the C2 General Business District. Well, this is not what this question anymore, but as city entertains urban projects, which we're excited for, obviously, and there's a consideration about height maximums, and one reason this came up was over the property group apartment. It exceeded the 62.5 requirement, so we thought perhaps if we're gonna see more of these, ideally, which generates a lot of revenue for the city, it helps the growth, development, long-term sustainability of the city, then we should consider increasing that height maximum only as pertains to the C2 zoning district classification. So that is what you're considering today. Planning Commission did approve this at the last meeting, 6-0. So these are some other cities that I kind of looked at and with comparable zoning classification just to see where they are at and what kind of regulations they have. And so obviously Wichita has an 80-foot maximum in the general business district plus an additional 2 feet for every additional foot of setback that they add onto it. So we're not including any of the additional setback requirements. We're just simply saying we want to go up to 75 feet as a maximum in the C2 district. So we're not going to say like add additional feet on top of that as you go back further from the setback. We would rather buildings be closer to the setback, as close to the setback as possible to maximize the building footprint and generates more taxable revenue for the city. Sorry. This is the site map of the Overland Property Group. I highlighted the area where they identified that it's actually 66 feet, 10.5 inches. A lot of site plans come in where they identify over at the soffit of the truss area. So we said specifically, hey, what is the maximum height at the peak of the roof? And that's where they identified it as 66 feet. So this is kind of a trigger all of that. And obviously, it's a beautiful building, we're really excited about that, so if we can encourage more of that and allow sort of more of that aesthetic architectural design latitude, then we would hopefully that be done. Public notice was given, current small cost, at least small cost for publication approved. The legal considerations approved as a form. It is recommended City Council both one, waive the reading of the ordinance and approve the ordinance changing the height maximum in the CG General Business District with voice plus a roll call. So, any questions about this one?
I don't really have any questions. I'm just hoping that you'll, I mean, I guess I did ask a question before when we first talked about this, and just kind of the areas that this covered. I'm hoping that you'll touch on that a little bit as people see that we're talking about raising the height limit of buildings.
Yeah, that's good. Maybe I should put a zoning map in there. I tell you what, I can jump ahead if that helps. How about I just jump way ahead? So the purple areas are the areas that are affected by this regulation.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. This is a darker red. It's identified here as a central business district. It's this area. It's only really 3 blocks.
And I think that that's kind of the place that people are going to have the most concern. So I just wanted to touch on that so that people understood that we're not approving these big buildings on Main Street right now. We're looking at other areas.
No, we only go, 45 is the maximum in the central business district. We're going to 75 on central, on the general business district. So that'd be the purple areas, or if that helps.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
No problem. We'll jump back. Get all lucky.
And these heights are primarily going to be, around here limited to apartment living?
No, so it doesn't necessarily be defined by the land use. It says any development that's allowed under that zone classification can go up that high. However, most commercial buildings don't go up that
Right.
high. A Walmart really doesn't have a reason to go up higher and higher and higher. It doesn't really have because of course sprinkling it and everything else, it just adds unnecessary cost. The Walmart doesn't need to be 50 feet in the air, unless they have multiple stories, which there's no footprint for that. So largely, it's going to be condos and apartments, especially ones that have a commercial on the first floor, because that pushes the residential up another level. And then when they add that architectural element, like we saw on that one, those gabled roofs are really tall, really peaked roofs, which is really pretty and aesthetically, it's aesthetically pleasing. Unnecessary, but aesthetically pleasing. We enjoy it, obviously, but that being said, it does push that limit. So, I mean, it does begin to add to the Goddard skyline, which is an interesting dynamic that you guys can all partake of. But technically, it's not just apartments, it could be something else as well.
So when Corey wants to build Dura Towers, he
Yeah.
wants to build it.
79 would be the maximum.
And then, in all seriousness, isn't there a limitation, doesn't Walmart have some limitation of height for the lots in front of their store?
From what I understand, which is, I wasn't fully aware of, but I think Goddard Galleria has architectural and restrictive covenants that we don't enforce, they enforce privately. So any regulations that City Council adopts, it supersedes any other regulations besides state law. So if we say we can go up to 75, that's fine. But if Mr. Dugan sells a property in front of Walmart and he's got a private agreement with Walmart, that's between him and Walmart.
Okay.
So he would have to enforce those regulations with a restrictive covenant that the city does not enforce. Restrictive covenants, with the small exceptions, are generally enforced by HOAs or other, business corporations.
Oh, okay.
This includes signage?
Signage?
Yeah.
No, this is for building heights.
Okay, but like a Walmart sign could be higher than?
They're not gonna go that high.
No, I don't
No,
think they would, but I'm just-
signs by on Article 7, it's a different regulation. Yeah, no, that's different regulations.
I, move that we waive the reading of the ordinance.
Krista moves, we waive the reading of the ordinance. Corey seconds, we'll slide that down there. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Step 2.
And I move that we approve the ordinance changing the height maximum in the C2 General Business District.
Krista's made a motion.
Second.
Sure. Amanda seconds.
Mine's done.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So it's roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sleeping. Go ahead, roll call.
Councilmember Byrd,
Yes.
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard,
Yes.
the ordinance 1040.
1040. Thank you very much.
Tax forms.
This is I-80. This is a modification to the R1 single family residential and R2 two family residential with the introduction of modular homes. I'm gonna skip most of this, so basically, what we're talking about is introducing modular homes as an acceptable land use under R1 and R2. Modular homes are defined under our subdivision regulations under Article 2, but for some reason they were never included as an acceptable use under R1 and R2. The conversation around modular homes has come up a couple times, and I think the key delineator here between modular, mobile, and manufactured is quality, and the fact that modular homes are meant to be permanent, they're affixed to a permanent foundation, a permanent structure. I did visit some modular homes in Wichita, and I was told that they do appreciate at the same level as traditional stick-built homes, which is something taken into consideration. If they're introduced into the market, they have that potential for being an introductory home for individuals, and then they would continue to appreciate at the same level as traditional single-family detached stick-built homes. So, Planning Commission did approve this. They did ask, however, that the manufactured homes that are considered an acceptable use under the R1 get shifted to conditional use, and that under R2, right now manufactured is not considered an acceptable use, but it continue to be considered a conditional use. And so that's something that Planning Commission has asked. So once again, once Planning Commission makes a recommendation, City Council has to ratify that. So that recommendation has to come before you guys and approve that condition of. But City Council has that ultimate authority to make that determination.
Are we doing that within this?
Yes. So that's what the ordinance was drafted, to introduce modular to R1 and R2, and take manufactured out as an acceptable use and put it under conditional use. Conditional uses are technically considered acceptable uses, but they have a longer review period, which requires them to go before the Planning Commission for a review. Is there any additional conditions you want to put on? That's why it's called conditional use. Is there any other additional conditions you want to put on it? Planning Commission wants to see manufactured homes moving forward. Modular homes they feel is more acceptable given its land use composition in the urban area. These are some pictures I took. The two on the bottom are in Goddard. The two on the top are the ones we visited in Wichita. As you can see, mobile homes are not skirted. I consider manufactured more skirted, but very traditional and similar to mobile homes. The modular have a very interesting composition. They're prefabricated and they're assembled on site, but you can see they're affixed to a concrete structure or footings. Public notice was given for a small cost. There will be a small cost additionally for the publication if approved by City Council tonight. Legally, it's approved as a form. It is recommended that City Council do, once again, waive the reading of the ordinance, approve the ordinances for the modification of R1 single family residential and R2 two family residential zoning classification with the voice plus a roll call. Do you have any questions related to this one?
When we're talking about modular homes for R2, is that, can you, does that mean developers will come and want to do an entire neighborhood of modular homes?
It's
that are,
potentially, they could consider that.
okay, that are duplexes?
Yeah, so the fall under modular would be treated very similar to that one, so it'd be a duplex or single family, but under R2, that would be considered acceptable. So then they would come before you to say, hey, we want to rezone, and then the modulars would be in there. So the ones we looked at in Wichita, we looked at both a single family modular and a duplex modular. But both of those would be considered single family modular, duplex modular, and still would have to be rezoned. And you still would have to consider that rezoning.
And if we put additional restrictions on two-family homes for sanitary areas and such, it would apply to these.
Yep, yes it would.
So the design standards that we spoke about last weekend, or last time, would have to apply to this as well?
It would, yeah, if you're doing a modular duplex, it would be a vote. In which case they would probably just not do modular duplex, they would just do a traditional duplex with that standards that are required. So that would probably just prohibit modular duplexes, in which case they would just do single family duplex, or sorry, single family modular, or traditional duplexes. So it just depends on what they're able to accomplish, given the criteria that council would adopt in the future.
I think it'd be really challenging to find a pre-designed modular plan for a two-family property that would fit within the design standards that council and planning commission are looking at. Maybe.
I think that modular homes can bring a different dynamic to Goddard in the sense of you can get some pretty nice modular homes,
Yeah.
right? They're very beautiful. I think we continue to have the talk about seniors or even people fresh out of high school, college, that need this slab home. The reality is the cost of living is not going to go down. The cost of building these houses is not going to go down. And so just from the standpoint of, I've looked at them in the past, but just when you came and talked to us, looking at them a little more, I mean, the cost difference to be able to put some of those around versus just a slab, even new build, is quite a bit. And this could be a really good opportunity for, again, anybody, but our seniors, our younger generation, even, you know, maybe single parents looking at the school district, things like that. So I definitely think that this is a really good thing to look at, and you can still make them very beautiful. Modular homes with landscaping around them are gorgeous, and they've got some really fun layouts, so.
Yeah, we calculated what the mortgage would be on the modular that we looked at, and it would be about $700 a month at 6.8%. So that's a pretty credible.
We talk about being able to bring people in to stay, I mean, I think that's and still have an acceptable way of living. I think that's.
Yeah, that's an unheard of mortgage, honestly, to consider it being around $700 to $800 in today's market. So, and noting that it would appreciate the same level is pretty unheard of.
Well, you've shown us like a lower cost modular. I believe they have high-end ones that are very nice, even
Yes.
compete with a stick-built home.
They can still be put on basements. They can still be put on.
They still be
You
garages
know,
attached.
yeah. I mean,
Yes.
porches, patios, off of them, everything. Yeah.
Depends how many Lego blocks you want to put together.
So by doing this, we're taking the manufactured homes out of the equation and used only for conditional use, and then these will be
Yes.
in that place.
As acceptable uses. Yes, so that doesn't prohibit manufacturing, it just means that somebody would have to go through an actual review before the planning commission would approve it. Because they would have to publish anything or go to planning commission say, hey, I want to build a manufacturing house. In which case the planning commission may say, you need to do X, Y, Z to get your building permit.
Okay.
I'll waive the reading of the ordinances.
Thank you. Claire makes a motion to do that. Amanda seconds that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
I make a motion to approve the ordinances for the modification of the R1 single family residential and R2 two-family residential zoning classifications.
Amanda's made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Corey seconds. Roll call.
Councilmember Durr,
Yes.
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard.
Motion carries 5-0.
Ordinance 1041 for R1 and 1042 for R2.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is, no problem, this is item I9, this is removal of the R1A from the zoning regulations. So, city staff is presenting to the city council the possibility of removing R1A zoning classification such that if annexation continues, there is no concern about R1A being used in the future for default zoning classification. So, city staff believes, just like R1B, R1A is moving away from a more economically viable neighborhood and would prefer to move it just like R1B. The ordinance will take effect after its publication in the newspaper. Planning Commission did review this and approve it 6-0 on April 13th. City Council reviewed the possibility of removing R1A zoning classification from the zoning regulations. So this is R1A. This is where it's located. This is the only place it's located. Public notice was given, incurring a small cost. There'll be a small publication cost if approved. Legal considerations, it is approved as to form. We can talk about more of the legal justification behind this if you prefer. This will tie into the next agenda item as well, where there's a lengthier legal consideration. Ryan Peck is here, city attorney. I did exhaust his colleague, Robert Kuykendall, on this matter for the
Made him
last 6
retire.
years before he retired, so that's probably why he retired. That's probably why, honestly. We're really extracting every dollar from them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It is recommended City Council waive reading of this ordinance and approve the ordinance removing R1A zoning classification voice plus a roll call. If you want, we can discuss it a little bit more. We'll give more history behind it, but with the I-10 item as well.
And you said this affects like 83 homes?
86 lots.
86. And just a question that I asked was, you know, how this affects other areas for these current homes. Because we're not really making too much of a change by structuring them over to R1, it doesn't, so.
Yes, and so, without getting too much into the weeds, basically, zoning is the land uses are predicated on the zoning that's underneath it. And so by removing that tablecloth from underneath that, it basically nullifies the land use on top of it, which causes what's called nonconformity. To avoid nonconformity, we want to go ahead and remove R1A on this one, and then on the next agenda item, we're going to introduce one. So it's basically an Indiana Jones situation where you take the statute and put the sandbag on top of it at the same time really quickly before the boulder rolls down, if you've seen that movie. So basically we're doing a swap really fast. They're both going to get published at the same time, so there's no nonconformity issue. But you're exactly right. Everybody wants to know, is the land use that's sitting on top of that zoning allowed? And so they ask me that all the time. Banks, realtors, property owners, everybody asks that question because the concern is, of course, if it's destroyed, is it allowed to be rebuilt? If there's no zoning classification underneath it, it becomes non-conforming, and the answer is no. And so we have to then say, what's the next zoning classification? R1. R1 allows for single-family detached. So all those 86 lots in Autumn Blaze that we're considering rezoning at the next agenda item would basically still be in play, and there would be no issues of non-conformity. No banks would be concerned about their asset being depreciated or being able to be rebuilt and managed, and there'd be no concerns about underwriting or sale of property. So.
And they created and put that under R1 at the time because
Square footage?
square footage.
Correct, yeah, and
Lot
granted,
size.
I wasn't here when it was introduced. It's my understanding, based on my limited knowledge, that there was a concern that housing would devalue additional housing if it was too small. So if you had at least 1,200 square foot on your house and your neighbor built an 800 square foot house next to you, it could potentially devalue your property. Now, whether or not that's true, we're not appraisers, I can make that determination, but that was the concern. And so they created R1A. It's also why I understand they created R1B, which was 1,500 square feet as the minimum. R1A is 1,200 square feet as the minimum. So there was concerns about your neighbor building a smaller house than yours and devaluing your property. So they introduced this and rezoned that area for that reason. So,
Which is why now most builders have that in their covenants or building
yeah, so restrictive covenants can be, that's.
cover it usually.
Yes, a lot of developers nowadays will require a minimum square foot requirement, but that's something that they impose on themselves.
Right.
Restrictive covenants they impose on themselves. We're not imposing it upon them. They impose it upon themselves so that they can create their ideal development.
So the only downfall here is if somebody's house does get wiped out, they can build a smaller one.
They could build small ones if they wanted to, yeah.
Yeah, that goes back to the cost of living, you know.
Well, we've learned a lot as a society in the last 5 years as to how appraisers appraise properties. And I'm not so sure that I buy that if there's a smaller house next door to mine that it's going to devalue mine, because I've learned a lot about the appraisal process and how they're picking homes, not so much that are near you, but comps as far as the size of your house and a couple other things, not the size of the house that's right next to yours. So
Correct. Craig's absolutely correct. That generally speaking, we spoke with the county for a long time and residential land analysts, and comps are one of the major factors that they use. So comparable properties, they're going to use how many bedrooms you have, how many bathrooms you have, what is the square footage of your house. They're not going to jump directly next door and say, well, this one is next to you, therefore it devalues you. It's not how appraisals work, generally speaking. So.
Do this one and on to the next one. We're gonna pull the sheet off the table.
I feel like I just kind of kicked the ball
I'll
towards
move
you,
to waive the reading
real
of
quick now,
ordinance.
sorry.
No, you're fine.
We have a motion, Corey's made to move the reading of the ordinance. I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0 on that.
Make a motion to approve the ordinance removing the R1A zoning classification.
Amanda's made a motion to remove the R1A zoning.
I second.
Krista seconds. Roll call.
Councilmember Dirk,
Yes.
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard.
Yes.
The ordinance 1043.
Thank you very much.
Pass 5-0.
This is I-10, so it's a continuation of kind of what we just talked about. Official zoning map change. So there are 86 properties in Autumn Blaze that are now generally considered void of the R1A. So we would like to rezone them in mass as R1. These are the 86 properties. Public notice was given during the small cost, there'll be an additional small cost after publication if adopted. Legal considerations are here. This is an abridged version of my legal conversation with Robert Winkendell, so if you have any additional questions, feel free to talk to Ryan Peck about that.
Just need to put the new blanket underneath.
Yeah, I don't know, always that whole city.
Yeah. Let's get this done before things collapse.
I make a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance.
Second.
Chris has made a motion, Amanda seconds, waiving the reading of the ordinance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0.
Make a motion to approve the ordinance enacting the general revision of the official zoning map.
Chris has made the motion,
I'll second.
Corey seconds. Roll call.
Councilmember Byrd?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Mayor Lee?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hall?
Yes.
Councilmember Leonard?
Yes.
The ordinance 1044.
1044 carries
Thank you very much.
5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Roll call, yeah.
A lot of signing.
We're excited for you.
You change your slide. City manager's report.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, City Council, this manager's report is kind of like when Han Solo is approaching the Death Star and Millennium Falcon.
Oh, here we go.
And the tractor beam, never mind, it was.
Are you gonna go outside dance or? Have you ever seen those?
We're gonna have a Harrison Ford movie night here soon, so.
Right here in City Hall.
In all seriousness, I do want to take a brief moment to recognize my colleague Micah. About a year and a half ago, we kind of charged him with taking our zoning and subdivision regulations out of kind of the dark ages and up to kind of a more modern urban planning standard, which is no easy undertaking. We kind of asked him to do 5 or 6 of them changes at a time in separate tranches, and so you might kind of think back, there's been 2 or 3 meetings like this a year where we brought 4 or 5 items to you to clean some of that stuff up and to change it. And I'm not sure the development community is quite caught up to those changes yet, but I do believe that the community will be better for the changes that he's initiated and that the Planning Commission and Council have supported. So I appreciate his time and effort over the last couple of years on that. He's done a great job, and there's more to come. We're going to keep working at that, and excited to see how the comprehensive planning process will take that to a whole nother level. Next council meeting is Tuesday, April 28th at noon. We do have a Planning Commission meeting on Monday, May 11th, where we've asked the Goddard City Council to join the Planning Commission. We will have Ryan Peck present the resolution adopting the minimum design and non-monotony standards for the R2 multifamily zoning district. So there'll be that kind of that joint meeting flavor there, and our hope is that the council meeting directly thereafter, we will be able to adopt that resolution to uniformly apply those design standards to the R2 zoning district. I know of some in the development community that I actually had one call me today that was excited about this and asking when's it going to be done, and in true bureaucratic form I had to share, well, it's going to be a few more weeks. We're taking a close look at this, and we're going to be working with the Planning Commission on it, and so hopefully we'll have this wrapped up by the end of next month. Villas at Pleasant Ridge Creek, we're getting really close to the end there. You've probably seen it starting to look like a development out there. They've finished a lot of the grading, and I would anticipate that you'll start seeing paving occurring here in the next few weeks. They're finishing up the ponds right now and those sorts of things, so it's going to be a beautiful project. We're excited about it. The city received 4 bids for the water looping projects. We have been verifying those bids for accuracy. We met with the 2 low bidders today. I really appreciate Harlan's due diligence on that project, asking all the right questions, helping us kind of navigate the bids and the line items within that, and giving the city good guidance on what direction we might head. So we anticipate requesting the council award the contract at the Monday, May 4th, 2026 City Council meeting. Super pleased just to share preliminarily that the low bids are well under budget, and it might actually allow us to knock down another pretty significant project in our 10-year capital improvement program ahead of schedule, which would be great, because things are only getting more expensive, so the more we can get done now, the better. The Bridger Maple Phase 2 project, it's getting pretty close to being complete as well. I expect paving to come right in behind. They're testing water lines over the next few days. Neighbors United, big, great gathering and day of service happening this weekend. Super excited about it. We meet at Goddard High School football field at 7 a.m. I hope to see some of my neighbors out there to work together hand and helping others with their projects and those sorts of things. Community Cleanup Days going to be running concurrent with Neighbors United as it has the last few years. We've got some vacancies with the Goddard Police Department, so if you know any law enforcement officers, please send them to Chief Beagley. Paving is getting close to being completed at 167th West and 23rd Street South. I'm hoping that at some point in the near future we see design plans for a sanitary sewer force main and a lift station, because that's got to happen before we can start building houses over there, and this project's starting to drag out a little longer than we would like to. So we're going to continue to try to move the engineering firm along with delivering those plans to us so we can get that thing going. Hawkins Lane, working days are paused now, so we did a walkthrough with the general contractor. The water line is good, the road is good, and now we're just waiting on it's a separate contract with a firm that's doing the power. And so as soon as the power's done, then we can get the irrigation going. We don't want to start doing plantings and stuff until we're able to have the irrigation operating. So hopefully in the next week or two, the power will be done. Then you'll start seeing all the plantings come in. You'll start seeing the Gabion baskets and then the beautiful monument sign. And I'm told that something really spectacular is to be delivered in May that will go in the center of the roundabout. Public Works Facility, the site pad's complete. Our crew's going to start their aspect of the site utilities, and hopefully the subs will be doing theirs as well. And maybe we'll see some footings going in the next couple weeks. Goddard Galleria project, they've had a couple walkthroughs on that one. There's several panels that will need to be replaced for defects, so I really appreciate Harlan and our Public Works team for holding the contractor accountable with that and getting those fixed. And I'd say the contractor's been very amicable in taking care of those issues that we found in the field. So we're getting really close over there. Looks like we've got some erosion control to go. And some of the finished grading. So starting to look like we have a pretty near finished product over there. We got a lot of upcoming agenda items. The 60-minute may become 90-minute on this April 28th meeting. If we have any ability, we'll try to push some of that maybe to the 4th of May. But there's a slew of upcoming agenda items there for you, just so you have a heads up with what's to come. So. Mayor, if the council has any questions, I'd be glad to stand for those.
I just have one, and maybe for the next meeting, you give us an update on the emergency preparedness study we were doing. I haven't heard anything on that, so maybe just get an update on that.
So we've met twice since our last council meeting virtually, and they sent us some questions and kind of a survey type deal that we need to fill out and get back to them. So a lot of the introductory work's going on, and I think we're going to start getting into the meat of it over the next few weeks. We have another meeting on the calendar. I'm not quite sure when it is, but I will send council just kind of a paragraph with a few more details on where that's at.
Just curious.
Any other questions? Thank you, City Manager Crossett.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Governing body comments. Who will start?
Naomi.
Yeah, let's start with that.
Okay, Well, first of all, thanks for tolerating all of my work trips. And I'm hoping this is my very last one. Also want to give a shout out to all the staff and Conco for their work on getting the North Park up and running. I'm super excited for that project to start. I know everybody on the benches, so looking forward to that, as well as thanks to the staff for all the work that you're about to do on the street and water looping projects. Lots of things from the CIP getting checked off, and that's always a great sign. Also, just kind of want to give a shout out and kind of a heads up for this Friday at noon. We're going to be thanking our Senior Center Advisory Board for all of their hard work over the last 2 years. I think that's at the community center. So I'm hoping that the community will come out and thank our advisory board because they've really been doing amazing work over the last 2 years. And hopefully we'll be there to celebrate and have some snacks and cake and things like that. So I hope to see you all there. And excited for Neighbors United. Lots of stuff going on. And that's all I have.
I echo all of Naomi's sentiments. I also want to just give a shout out to Brent Traylor, who kind of led the charge on the North Park, and even like he served quite a long time to see this come to fruition. So I just want to honor him in that, and I'm excited that we get to really see it moving forward. And then yeah, just same. Everything's moving, and it's good.
Very good to see it around.
Yeah.
Amanda?
Well, I know we just kind of touched on the fact that we're going to say thank you to the senior centers, but I just kind of had a fun thing that I wanted to share. So I've been trying to get my dad to go to senior center events for quite a while. I've talked to Karen about it, I've talked to Amanda about it. I mean, I've all but like begged him, like, this would be so much fun. And I think I've planted the seed enough that Saturday night he got a night out by himself, and so he went to bingo. Said he won $50. He met a couple, he did not get their names, but they were so friendly to him that he agreed to come back next month. I said I'd go with him. So that was a really fun thing to see go to fruition. I think that that's a really great resource for the seniors in our community. Not that my dad's a senior if he's watching, he's not quite there yet, but it was such a great thing to watch that and to see him meet other people and get out there. So thank you for all you guys do, Karen, you especially, because I know you were out there running bingo every time. So that was a really exciting thing. I'm really excited to see the North Park come to life and just have a new space to go play, and all of the work that we've got going on in Goddard. Year two of the 5 for 5. So yeah.
So yeah, excited for the North Park. I can't wait to do the groundbreaking on that one, because that'll be a big moment, I think, for everyone here. Thank you, staff, for a fairly lengthy agenda, being real efficient and getting through it. Appreciate that. And I'll just continue to second the Neighbors United Saturday. Lions Club, we're doing 2 blessing boxes, so doing one over on Easy Place and replacing one for the library. So it'll be exciting to see what other good projects there are in the community and what gets done that day.
They look beautiful if you're on Facebook. Or did you make those yourself?
I made one, and Lion Terry Runberg's making the other.
They looked really good, so.
I might have some projects at home for you, Corey.
I was just thinking that.
Lions projects keep me busy.
I'm sure we could slide one of my wife's projects.
Sounds
in
like
there.
the Lions have some projects
Yeah.
coming up.
Probably.
I guess one thing I'd like to note is just financially on these 3 big projects between the park, the Public Works building, and the water looping project. Our preliminary estimates were, I think, fairly accurate that all 3 of these projects are going to come in well below what we were talking about initially. The bid process has been good, and Harlan, all your work on that water looping project, appreciate that. Those bids is coming in with the level that they did. I think we're really fortunate at this point to see all the way town's going to be torn up here in the next 210 days, but hopefully by Christmas time things will come back together. I know if you go down 3rd Street right now, after tearing out trees and and driveways and yards getting torn up, that it's come back together, and once we're done, we'll deal with the immediate pain. But I just ask everybody in those neighborhoods to be patient, and the infrastructure of our community in the oldest part of our town is being taken care of, and that bodes well for the rest of the community as we continue to move out and repair things and keep things in order. So also like to note that the plaque for the annual Volunteer of the Year for the last 2 years is now on the wall, so hopefully we can fill that up over the next 30 years. And just a constant reminder of the type of people we have in our community that give of their time and their efforts to make this a better place. And I'm very thankful for all that. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
5-0, it passes. Thank you, everyone.